What is going on, guys? We are here. We are back. We are live for UFC Vegas 104. Basically didn't have the full time to go into the full editing like I usually do for the shorter videos, but I did want to get something out for you guys, especially for the diehards. I know it's not the greatest card on paper, but it is a fun little betting card. I think there's a couple spots that we could potentially take advantage of. So just wanted to run through the card with you guys. So without further ado, we're going to kick things off in the women's flyweight division. We have Carly Judas taking on Nunes Dubin. This one, Judas is a big favorite. I really don't have much interest in this fight. I don't hate like looking at overs. I actually haven't checked prices on that. But I would be kind of surprised if Judas finishes. Not that she can't. If she is going to finish, I think it comes from like a late, just volume predicated finish down the stretch. Judas is somebody who previously fought on Contender Series. She's a high volume striker, Louisiana girl, really just southpaw, just loves to throw hands. Super high volume. We saw that on Contenders. We also saw that in her UFC debut. So yeah, she's a super high volume striker, but she doesn't have much else to her game. Whereas Dubin is undersized for the weight class. She is going to be much smaller, and she basically is here because she landed that big knockout shot against Shannon Clark as a massive underdog on Contender Series this past season. So it's one where I just really favor Judas. I just think like price, I'm not interested in because she's such a massive favorite, but I really do think she kind of dominates here. I struggle to see Dubin managing range, keeping up with the volume of Judas. So it's going to be Judas for me. I think the most likely outcome is a decision, but like I said, like a 2-3 KO, something like that, just mainly due to volume. Wouldn't be the craziest thing, but at these prices, I'm just not interested in anything. But the official pick is going to be Judas by decision. What's going on, Dixon, in the chat? Yeah, we haven't done a live for you guys, not a solo live in a while. So yeah, just figured I'd let it rip on a Thursday, beautiful Thursday morning here. Next fight up is going to be Josiah Nunes Priscilla Catuaa. This one we have Nunes minus 185. The comeback on Catuaa is plus 154. I've seen some Catuaa love out there, and I get it, in the sense that like these girls are both brawlers. They both want to come forward, trade some big shots. They both trust their power, and they both struggle in terms of their defensive grappling. So you would expect this fight to play out on the feet. I would expect it to be competitive with both of them landing some big shots. And this is another one where it's like, I don't like the price, but I do slightly favor the Nunes side. Yes, she's a little bit undersized for the division. A little bit shorter, but she chucks that big left hand, and Catuaa is very hittable. So it's one where I get it. I think it's going to be competitive. I think early prices on Catuaa made sense, but I think where it's at now, I think it's just going to be a pass for me. I do think Nunes probably has some bigger moments with that big left hand, and that's the deciding factor for me. So I'm going to say it's Nunes. Nunes by decision is going to be the official pick. Z500 DK Sniper, what's going on, man? Appreciate you joining. Next fight up is going to be Andre Lima, Daniel Perez. And this one is interesting because if you guys have followed me for a while, you know I'm a big Perez guy. I had a bet on him on Contender Series the first time he fought against was it Carlos Hernandez, I want to say? Yeah, Carlos Hernandez. This was a few seasons ago. This was back in 2021. I had a big bet on him against Hernandez. Thought he won the fight. Very close fight. He ended up losing a split decision. Didn't really think we were going to hear from him again in terms of the UFC. And then he takes a short notice. Signing against Rafael Filho. And I max bet him against Filho in that spot. One of the biggest bets of that I've ever placed, honestly. I had 5.1 units on Daniel Perez to beat Rafael Filho. And I'm still scarred from that because I was just very confident that Beres was going to have a striking advantage there. He's got massive power for 125 pounds. And he absolutely proved that right. He hurt Filio early in that fight, hurt him to the body, very close to getting a stoppage. And yeah, he just, I wish he would have waved him up instead of following him to the ground. And then shortly after, it seemed like he just kind of gave up. And some of that was because the cardio wasn't fully in check, but he definitely does have a little bit of wilt in him. That's the one concern with Beres is he is a bit of a front runner. But I still like this kid, man. I feel like he's getting undervalued in this spot. I actually bet him at a bad price because after the Francis Marshall move last week, I wasn't really sure how this line was going to go. So I actually bet Beres at plus 250, which is obviously a terrible price because now he's plus 310. I think on DraftKings plus 330, best available bet online. So now I'm just kind of waiting. Probably going to add nothing crazy. I just have one unit on him so far. Probably add something small if this plus 300 hangs around. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think people just love Andre Lima. I think people have always kind of overvalued Andre Lima, in my opinion. The kid's a very technical striker, does have power, seems to have a decently well-rounded game, but he's also somebody that doesn't put a ton of activity out there. He's another guy who kind of fights on thin margins just because he's low volume, doesn't usually look to grapple all that much. So even though the power is clear, like you look at his fight against Felipe dos Santos his last time out, wins 29-28 because, again, just not a ton of activity. Yes, he relied on his grappling a little bit more in that spot, which made sense. But like outside of that, didn't really do a whole lot. Landed 18 significant strikes. He went to a split decision against Mitch Raposo. Mitch Raposo is not UFC level. He fought on The Ultimate Fighter years ago. New England guy, decent wrestler, not a great striker, and undersized for the division. Where when you look at Andre Beres, it's like Beres has a lot of attributes that you like as an underdog. I mentioned the power. He's extremely explosive in that first round. He hurts. He basically is good for at least one big moment in almost every first round of every fight of his career. This guy is very dangerous early, and that is why I have interest here at such a big price tag. And I do think Andre Lima is durable, and I get why he's the favorite. I just think it's a really big number for somebody that doesn't do a whole lot in extended fights. And we did see Beres come out his last time. I bet him in that spot as well. Had a unit and a half on him against Victor Altamirano. And it was good to see him get his hand raised in a decision. Definitely started to slow down as the fight extended, but and again, big moment early, had a knockdown in that fight. So it's just somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if he like high rolled some sort of finish here. And I feel like at this price, that's kind of being treated as like it's impossible, and that Andre Lima is just a super prospect. But show some respect to my guy Daniel Beres. I like Beres this week. I think the value is on the underdog, and I hope he comes through for us. Yeah, what's going on, guys? We got Phil in the chat saying what's up. MMA upside. Yeah, we're up early, ready to get after it. UFC Vegas 104. This is where dreams are made, fellas. Next fight up, we have Stephanie Luciano against Sam Hughes. Checking prices now. We got Luciano minus 230. The comeback on Sam Hughes is plus 190. This is another one I'm not going to spend a ton of time on. I think Luciano is the better striker, and she tends to keep a pretty decent pace. I was impressed with her against Alan Carr. I actually bet Alan Carr in that fight. I thought her grappling advantage would be more of a factor. It obviously wasn't, and I think that speaks to the improvements that Luciano has made, because even the first time they fought back on Contender Series, she definitely struggled, defending takedowns, working up to her feet. And you didn't really see that in the second fight as much. She's young, she's improving, she's got a big frame for the division. And I think Sam Hughes just needs a matchup where she has a wrestling advantage, a cardio advantage. I'm not sure she's going to have either of those things in this fight. So I like Luciano. It might be a hot take, but I actually don't even hate like parlaying her potentially. I'm not sure if I'll do it myself, but like I think that's fine in the minus 230 range. I do feel pretty comfortable that she gets her hand raised. Yeah, it looks like Mia in the chat asking if there's going to be a regular fight number show. Yeah, that'll be tonight on this channel as well, 9 p.m. with the boys. This show we're doing now is basically just a substitute for my normal solo weekly breakdown. It's just you guys get the raw, unedited version as opposed to the full edits with the fighter graphics. Just didn't really have time this week. And let's be honest, it's not the greatest card on paper. So coming off a big pay-per-view, motivation was a little bit lower. Let's go next fight up. We have Josias Musasa. He takes on Carlos Vera. He's an 800 favorite, plus 550 on the comeback on Carlos Vera. And the reason I actually like this card and the reason I didn't want to just like skip it is because I feel like consistency is respectable and I try and give you guys something pretty much every week. But B, there's a lot of Contender Series prospects on this card, not just previous seasons, but we actually have multiple fighters making their debut. And you guys know I love me some Contender Series. So yeah, just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Musasa is a guy that I almost bet on Contender Series. He definitely has some attributes that I think you can like as a young prospect. He's definitely still pretty raw. And I think in certain matchups, I'd be concerned just because he's another guy who has a ton of power, but he gets super reckless. He also isn't super proven over 15 minutes. He went to decision on Contender Series, ended up winning a split, but I think you saw some things there. You saw the power that he has, you saw the athleticism and explosiveness, but you saw that he can also be taken down. You saw that he gets sloppy at times as well. And again, he's only been 15 minutes, I think twice in his career. So that's pretty concerning for a massive favorite. The reason why I don't think it matters in this fight is because Carlos Vera is not UFC level. I do not put much respect in Carlos Vera. He took a short notice offer to face Rinya Nakamura, did basically nothing in that fight. Struggles in terms of his defensive grappling as well. A little bit of a submission game. I just don't think it plays a factor here. And I think Musasa's has a massive striking advantage, and I think he hurts him and potentially knocks him out. So it's going to be Musasa by TKO. That's the official pick. Yeah, Matt Smith asking if I wrestled the bear. I did not wrestle the bear. Black bears are actually notorious for being more scared of humans and dogs and stuff like that, as opposed to like a grizzly bear, obviously. But black bears are usually just like scavenging for food, which is what this guy was doing. They could actually smell really strong smells like miles away. So he got a whiff of my septic tank and he was down there messing with it 3 nights in a row. Actually, I kind of miss him. I've been on the lookout, usually right around sundown. The bear pokes around my yard. But I haven't seen him lately. I'm kind of bummed about that. I've been looking on like my neighborhood Facebook page, and other people are posting him in their yard and stuff like that. So I'm a little jealous. I haven't seen him in a bit, so hope he's doing well. And no, I definitely did not wrestle him. David saying good job last week. Appreciate it. My bets were just kind of meh. I ended up taking a small L last week. Mainly due to Lucindo, I think, was my deciding play, and she obviously looked terrible. All right, let's move on to the next fight on the card, which is the bantamweight matchup. Su Young Yu, AJ Cunningham. I definitely have a hot take on this fight. Let's look current prices. We have Su Young Yu minus 625, AJ Cunningham on the comeback at plus 455. Checking over prices right now, over under. It looks like it's at a pick'em. I don't think that's a bad look, but I also think AJ Cunningham is not a bad look here. Like, I'm probably going to have a small play on the dog here. And I get it. Like, it's not going to feel good. AJ Cunningham has looked rough, right? He looked rough on Contender Series. He looked rough in his debut, but that was a really tough debut. And I think he's at least got some attributes at this type of price. Like, everything, you always have to relate it back to what the price is, right? Like, this isn't a pick'em fight. Like, AJ Cunningham is a massive underdog here, and I just think as a massive underdog, he's more live than he's being given credit for a couple reasons. For starters, he is going to be huge for bantamweight. He's moving down. He was pretty big at featherweight. So he's going to be much taller, going to have a huge reach advantage as well in this spot. And he's very tough. He's never been submitted, trains with Bryce Mitchell. And Su Young Yu is going to be looking to grapple him. And I'm not saying he won't be able to do that, but I think Cunningham could at least extend this fight. And if he's able to keep it on the feet, I think he's got a better striking game than Su Young Yu. We've also seen these road to UFC guys, these hardcore grapplers. We saw it with Ray Saruya, gets a ton of CLV, the people that back Saruya as an underdog. He looked like terrible. From the opening bell, it was like, yeah, he's completely dead in this fight against Joshua Van. I'm not saying that that's what like AJ Cunningham is not Joshua Van, like full stop. That's not what I'm saying. But I think he could at least be competitive if he can keep this fight on the feet, because I think he's going to be a lot bigger, and he's just a tough kid, man. I think this price is being treated that Su Young Yu is just going to maul right through him in the grappling and submit him. And I tend to just disagree with that a little bit. So, yeah, I think the value is on the underdog here. If you like the Su Young Yu side, I think you just chase a submission prop. Not sure what the prices are if they're out yet. It's probably not very good, but I think that would be the only way that I would have some Su Young Yu interest. And yeah, don't hate some dog shots on Cunningham. Dixon says he's going to be barking in rounds 2 and 3. Don't hate that look either. And don't hate overs. Just trusting the grit of Cunningham to survive and not get submitted. Again, training with Bryce Mitchell, pretty high level submission grappler. Maybe he's able to defend everything from Su Young Yu, who hasn't really fought anybody, by the way. So, yeah, just a clear buy low spot on the dog here. Don't hate it. Official pick is going to be Su Young Yu by decision. But again, I just think clear value is on the underdog here. All right, next fight up, we have Waldo Cortez Acosta, Ryan Spann. Currently, we have Acosta minus 175, Ryan Spann on the comeback at plus 145. I'm not a Ryan Spann guy. I think he's super flawed, mainly with the durability. He's a round one merchant, powerful early, could submit you as well. But Cortez Acosta, I think, is going to be the better striker over 15 minutes. He's got the better gas tank as well, and clearly the more durable fighter too. So I like the Cortez Acosta side. Not enough to lay it at this price, but I considered it pretty strongly. I just think like live is probably a better look because it takes away some of the risk of a Ryan Spann early finish, which I do think is possible. So yeah, I would be looking to bet this one live. Cortez Acosta. Acosta could potentially melt him down the stretch as well. Acosta by TKO is going to be the official pick. Yeah, Jason says Cunningham's at Factory X. Probably worth noting. So maybe he wasn't training with Bryce for this camp. I know they trained in the past. They're actually like distant cousins, I believe. If you guys want to fact check me on that, I believe they are cousins. I know Cunningham was the dude on Contenders. They talked about his dad was like in the Armenian Brotherhood or something. And he would like do some crazy disturbing things to AJ and his brother, like feed them dog food and beat them up and stuff. So it's really crazy story. And yeah, just really sad. But I think that speaks to his toughness, you know. So maybe he can survive for 15 minutes and maybe even pull off an upset. Like I was saying, it wouldn't be the craziest thing. He's going to be much bigger, and I think the better striker as well. Yeah, Ryan Spann from Superman to Super Fraudulent. I just think the durability is a clear issue for him, and I don't trust the cardio either. So that's why I think Ocasio could melt him down the stretch here. Next fight up is going to be Sungwoo Choi versus Kevin Vallejos. Vallejos, another Contender Series guy. Big favorite here. Minus 600. The comeback on Sungwoo Choi is plus 440. Speaking of durability issues, Sungwoo Choi, just very sad what's happened to his career. This guy came into the UFC, high-level striker, knockout power, really exciting fighter because he just wants to move forward and trade. But while he's doing that, he completely disregards his defense, and he's paid the price multiple times. I think it's safe to say at this point, the durability is shot for Sungwoo Choi, and I just think Kevin Vallejos is an exciting prospect. He's got some intangibles to get excited about, good cardio, good pace, sharp leg kicks, powerful striker as well. I think he's going to push a pace. These guys are going to meet in the middle, and Vallejos' durability is going to hold up better than Sungwoo Choi. And I think that's going to be that. So it's going to be Kevin Vallejos for me. Vallejos by TKO. That's the official pick. Moving on up. This one's kicking off the main card. Dio Nurgaz takes on Brenson Rivero. Another big favorite here. Another Contender Series guy. Nurgaz is... I'm not seeing the price. 1 second. Nurgaz. Oh, there it is. 375 betting favorite. Comeback on Brenson Rivero is plus 295. I think this one is kind of similar to the Ryan Spann thing. Nurgaz, very proven prospect, in my opinion. Former middleweight champ, I believe, in Eagles FC promotion. Fought on the Contender Series. Got the job done there. This guy's pretty good. I don't think he's like a superstar by any stretch, but I do think he's pretty good. He's proven over 25 minutes. He's got solid striking. He's got a good ground game as well. And Brenson Rivero is going to be the bigger fighter in terms of the reach, very long and rangy. But I've never been a Brenson Rivero guy. I actually parlayed Gadzi Yasulov, who sucks. I parlayed him again when he fought Rivero. He ended up squeaking it out. Rivero just doesn't have good takedown defense. He doesn't have good durability either, in my opinion. He's got a little bit of power, and he's got a tricky submission game. That's going to work at the low levels. I think Nurgaz has seen that many times over his career. Like, he's fought in some legit guys and beat them for what it's worth. So I think he stays safe on the ground. I think he could hurt Rivero on the feet as well. So I would say Nurgaz by TKO is going to be the official pick. All right, next fight up, we have Blacksher, Cody Gibson. And man, I don't know what it is with this card. It's like you're either a Contender Series prospect or you're either pushing 40 years old. Like, that's literally the theme of this card. Like, you look at the next 3 fights on the main card. Cody Gibson, I think, is 39 or turns 39 this year. Kurt Holla, same thing. And Zaleski dos Santos. You know, all 3 of these guys knocking on 40. So this is a clear, like, hey, either put on a show, win the fight, or you're probably getting your walking papers. And on the flip side, I think there's a method to the matchmaking here, right? Because you have Blacksher, who's a pretty young, decent prospect. Like, you know, getting him a decent win over an aged veteran fighter makes some sense. And then in the next fight with Alexander Hernandez, that's a guy that needs to build his confidence. Let's get him a win, start to build him back up. And on the flip side for those guys, it's like, if you can't beat these aged veterans, then you probably don't have business in the UFC either. So I think that's kind of the method to the madness in terms of the matchmaking. But yeah, I think Blacksher is clearly the better grappler. I know Cody Gibson comes from a wrestling background. He relied on that in his last fight. against Chad and Helliger. This is a much different matchup, guys. And it's just a matchup where I struggled to see where Gibson has advantages, because I think Blackshear's actually the better striker, even though he doesn't put a ton of volume out there. I could see him having success with the leg kicks. And I think Blacksher is clearly the better submission grappler. I expect him to control the grappling exchanges and ultimately find a finish on the mat. So we're going to say it's Blacksher by submission. That's the official pick. And then moving on to that Alexander Hernandez matchup against Kurt Hollabaugh. Hernandez is a minus 205 favorite now. The comeback on Hollabaugh is plus 170. Hollabaugh is dangerous enough, but like I mentioned, older guy, can never defend takedowns. Defends takedowns at under 50% in the UFC. I think this is like, if there was ever a matchup for Hernandez to go to his ground game and where we can trust him to have success there, it's this one, man. I mean, we saw it play out with the Trey Ogden matchup. I think this could be very similar. People forget Hernandez actually has a pretty solid ground game. Like, he doesn't use it all that often. He averages around 1 takedown per 15 minutes. But when he goes to the ground, he's generally pretty solid. He can land takedowns. He's got good control. Brown belt in Brazilian Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and generally good control. And Hollabaugh, we've seen, like I mentioned, the Trey Ogden fight, like that's the blueprint. He can't work back to his feet. Go to the takedowns. The issue with Hernandez is that you can never trust this guy. You can't trust the durability, can't even really trust the cardio, and you can't trust him not to just wilt at any moment. Like, anytime he stops having success, the dude is like, oh, I might get finished, and just like starts to question himself, and it's just not a good look. So minus 205, no interest on the price, but I do think he leans on the wrestling and the ground game here. The official pick is going to be Hernandez by decision. Next up, we have the co-main event. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos takes on Chitty Bang Bang and Njukawane. Currently, dos Santos minus 205. The comeback on Njukawane is plus 170. What's going on, Billy, in the chat saying what's up? Jeremiah says, Donde está Pepe? My Spanish is a little bit rusty, but he will be on the show tonight at 9 p.m. Yeah, so this is one where I'm definitely leaning towards the Chitty Bang Bang side. Might get around to a play on him. Plus 170 is a pretty big number here. For somebody that I kind of like in this matchup. He's going to be bigger, longer, big frame for the division. Powerful striker as well. Like, I know Dos Santos coming off a nice, impressive win against Scroggins, but like, I don't know. I just feel like this is like he's being overvalued in this spot. I mentioned the age earlier. He's knocking on 40. He's been relying on his ground game a little bit more, but I don't think you can bank on that. And Chitty's somebody that has power, that's really good in the clinch, that has those nasty elbows. Like, I just feel like plus 170 is a big price on a fight that I think plays out pretty competitively. And I might even lean in Njukawane like straight up. So yeah, I like the dog here. No question about it. I just think it's a clear buy low spot on Njukawane and sell high on Zaleski dos Santos. We'll see how it plays out. I like the Chitty Bang Bang side. Which brings us to our main event. We have a rematch. Marvin Vettori minus 148. The comeback on Roman Dolidze is plus 124. Definitely been some buyback on the Dolidze side. Vettori was up to like minus 170, maybe even a little bit higher, minus 175. So people definitely got in recently on the Dolidze side. I think it makes sense, but I also slightly lean Vettori. Like, I would line this fight right about where it is right now, minus 148. Like, minus 140, minus 145 is what I would make Marvin Vettori in this fight. Obviously, they fought once already, and I actually forgot the way that this fight played out. This was a fight where everybody thought Roman Dolidze won. I thought Roman Dolidze won. I don't think I bet on either of them, but I clearly thought Roman Dolidze won. And then they ended up giving it to Vettori, which I thought was surprising. But I think I could see the fight playing out similarly in the sense that I expect it to be competitive. Now, why I still slightly favor Vettori is because of the 5-round nature now. You guys know Dolidze, to me, he's not a 5-round fighter. He can say what he wants about being in better shape, blah, blah, blah. He's not a 5-round fighter. Even in 3-round fights, up and down his career, he's tired in round 2. Like the guy just doesn't have a good gas tank, but he is powerful and he is dangerous. So somebody like Vettori, who's very hittable, he's more of a plotter, he's kind of a blockhead, very durable, but he certainly gets hit a lot. Like that's a little concerning. But I feel like his grappling is solid enough where Dolidze won't be able to like high roll something like he did against Hermanson, or really put him in much danger with the grappling. I think Vettori's proven enough there. Obviously, the concern with Vettori is we haven't seen this guy fight in like 2 years. He's coming off a shoulder surgery as well. So there's certainly some concerns on the Vettori side. I just think it's going to be a competitive fight and one where I favor the cardio and durability of Vettori, especially as the fight gets extended in rounds 4 and round 5. So it's one that like I said, I would line it Vettori slight favorite, and currently that's about where it is. So I don't see myself having a play here. I know there's a lot of love on the Dolidze side, but I'm not going to get there this week. I slightly lean Vettori. I passed the first time they fought, and it seemed like a good decision in hindsight based on the way that it played out and the way that the results were. And I'm probably just passing on this one as well. Maybe shot for a prop for a small play or something like that. Look at a total, but I'm not going to get there on the money line on this fight. Official pick is going to be Vettori by decision. So yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Like I said, just wanted to run through the card with you, put something out there for the fellas. And yeah, full fight number show will be tonight at 9. So be sure to check back in later for the full cruise takes. And best of luck this week, and we will see you next time.